Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Leah and most of my videos are focused on unsolved crimes and mysteries. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. The case we're going to be talking about today is absolutely heartbreaking and extremely upsetting, so I have to put out a trigger warning because we are going to be talking about severe domestic violence and torture. It's very hard to listen to. We are going to be talking about Nikki Cheng McCain. Nikki was an absolute gorgeous 39-year-old woman. She was married to Tyler McCain and they had been together for 16 years. Together they had 4 beautiful children. They lived in a house in Redding, California, and from the outside they looked like a perfectly normal family. Next to their house there was a trailer park where Tyler's right-hand man, Justin, he lived with his mother. Tyler and Nikki met each other while they were both working in the Wind River Casino. Nikki and her sister Kay, they worked as cocktail waitresses, and Tyler, he was working in the slot department. Tyler was known to be a very flirtatious guy, and he did have his fun with a lot of women, if you know what I mean. So when Tyler started showing interest in Nikki, her sister Kay warned her about him and his reputation, and she told her to be careful. Tyler and Nikki started dating and everything was so amazing. They were in love and they had a really good relationship. After dating for a while, Tyler proposed to Nikki and she said yes. After being engaged for about 6 years, they finally got married in an absolute beautiful ceremony. After a few years, Tyler started showing his true colors. He was obsessive, he was jealous and controlling, and it just kept getting worse. Eventually, it went from verbal and emotional abuse to physical abuse. Tyler would grab Nikki by her hair, pin her down on the floor while shouting at her, and he also started slapping her as well. Nikki was a very kind and forgiving person. She had a heart of gold and she saw the good in all people, even the bad ones. She would always forgive Tyler and come up with excuses for him, and she would tell her sisters that Tyler, he didn't mean it. But as the years went by, the abuse got worse, and Nikki, she would go to her sister's house every time it got too bad. Tyler would be calling and texting her, but she didn't want to talk to him. So Tyler would instead call and text her sisters, Chloe and Kay, and ask them to tell Nikki that he was sorry and he loved her, and he would make promises to change if she would just come back home. Like I said, Nikki was a very forgiving person, and she would always go back home to Tyler. Things between them would always get better, but it didn't last long, then the abuse started all over again. Nikki and Tyler ended up losing custody of their 4 children, and the custody ended up being shared between Tyler's family and Nikki's family. On March 4th, 2020, a state of emergency was declared in California, and on March 19th, 2020, a mandatory statewide stay-at-home order was issued. The pandemic hit the world. Tyler lost his job and had to stay at home, but he started spending more and more time in their garage, where he allegedly did substances with his sister. Nikki could feel the change in Tyler and she didn't like it. She wanted him to come inside the house, be together as a family. But Tyler didn't want to, and he became more distant and more aggressive. Their marriage was falling apart and they were fighting a lot. Accusations of infidelity was a big part of the arguments, and one time Tyler actually admitted to have cheated on Nikki. Nikki was heartbroken, but they decided to work through it, seek marriage counseling, and stay together. That sounded like a very good plan, and things started to get better between them. But eventually, everything started going downhill again. One day Nikki was sitting in their bedroom brushing her hair, and Tyler he came home. He came flying into the bedroom and asked Nikki what she was doing. But before she even had the chance to reply, Tyler already punched her in her face. Nikki fell on the floor and she was trying desperately to make Tyler calm down. But nothing she said was working. Nikki closed her eyes because she didn't want to see the punches coming. Tyler bound Nikki's feet and her hands with white tape, and he also put a piece of tape over her mouth to keep her quiet. Tyler kept telling Nikki that he was gonna unalive her, and he kept telling her that over and over. He then turned her over on her stomach, and he pulled her head back by her hair. She felt him wrapping something around her neck, but Tyler didn't have enough strength to unalive her in that manner. So he turned her back over on her back. He then threw a towel over her head and started pouring water on her face. It's a well-known way to torture people. It's called waterboarding. The victim can't breathe as the mouth and nose is filled with water. It's terrifying and gives the victim the feeling that they're drowning. Nikki eventually passed out and Tyler he stopped. He probably thought that he managed to unalive her. But not long after, Nikki woke up. She managed to untie herself and asked Tyler for a blanket because she was wet and so cold. When Tyler realized that Nikki she was still alive, he ran over to her and he started punching her in her face again. Then he went into the kitchen and Nikki she panicked. She got up, she grabbed her keys and she ran for her life towards her truck. She opened the door and threw herself inside, not knowing that Tyler, he was right behind her. Nikki started the truck and Tyler, he threw himself on the hood of the truck while screaming at Nikki to stop. But she didn't. She took off and she went directly to her sister's house. When her sister Chloe, she opened the door and saw Nikki's face. She didn't recognize her to begin with. She had so much facial trauma and the injuries to Nikki's face was unbelievable. Chloe took Nikki to the Mercy Medical Center where they examined Nikki from head to toe. The police was called in as well, and Nikki she filed a criminal report against Tyler for domestic violence. The police they went to the house and they spoke to Tyler and asked him if he had seen Nikki's face. Tyler said he never laid a hand on her and he actually didn't see her for a few days. The officer didn't buy his story and he brought Tyler to the police station where charges was filed against him. Tyler was charged with corporal injury to a spouse, false imprisonment, criminal threats and assault with force likely to cause great bodily injury. Nikki didn't go back home to Tyler this time, but she would be staying with her sisters and her mother. Tyler kept texting and calling Nikki, and sometimes she would reply. He would apologize and beg for forgiveness and wanted Nikki to drop the charges against him. But Nikki she refused and told him no. One day he asked Nikki to drive him to a court hearing because Tyler wasn't allowed to drive due to a suspended license. Nikki agreed and picked up Tyler, but instead of driving to the courthouse, Tyler forced Nikki to drive to his lawyer's office. The lawyer asked Nikki if she wanted to recant her statements, and she told him no. Tyler got so angry that he took off in Nikki's truck and left her stranded at his lawyer's office. Tyler was desperate to get these charges dropped because he knew that he could be facing a long time behind bars. So he made one final attempt to get the charges dropped. He became the old Tyler and put on the charm that Nikki she couldn't resist. And then he started manipulating her, using their 4 children to get through to Nikki. He begged for another chance, and he said that if she moved back home, they could really work on their marriage and get their children back, and they could again be a very happy family. I wish I could tell you that Nikki, she said no, but she didn't. She fell for the manipulation and decided to move back home to be with Tyler, work on the marriage, and get their children back as Tyler promised. On May 17th, 2024, Nikki got a call from Tyler's mother, Jeanette. She told Nikki that Tyler's brother Brian was in the ICU and she needed Nikki to drive her there. Jeanette was allegedly hysterical and very, very upset. She was so devastated that she wasn't able to drive by herself. I just want to throw something in there, and that is that Jeanette lives on a reservation. Jeanette is very hardcore, and she also had physical altercations with Nikki in the past. She is no joke. Nikki drove to Jeanette's house to pick her up, and they drove to the hospital in Jeanette's car. In the hospital, Nikki was texting with her sister Chloe and letting her know what was going on. Nikki didn't tell Chloe exactly what time she left the hospital or if she left by herself, so we don't have that information. But just after midnight, Nikki sent Chloe a text where she tells her that she's gonna drive to Jeanette's house to return her car. And that was the last time anyone ever heard from Nikki again. In the morning of May 18th, 2024, Chloe texted Nikki asking how Brian was doing, but Nikki, she didn't respond. 1 hour later, Chloe sent her another text asking about a soccer uniform for one of Nikki's children. They couldn't find it, so maybe Nikki, she knew where it was. But Nikki, she was still not responding. The family didn't really think too much of it because maybe Nikki was busy. But on May 22nd, they realized that no one had heard anything from Nikki since the 17th. And that's when Tyler sent a message to Chloe that sent chills down her spine. It read, "Hey, have you heard from your sister? I think she's missing. I don't know, but I think she's missing." Chloe asked Tyler what he meant by that, and he told her that him and Nikki had a fight at his mother's house, and Nikki, she took off after the fight. But then Tyler changed the story and said the fight was in their own house, but Nikki, she still took off after the fight. Chloe and Kay believed something was wrong and they decided to report Nikki as missing. They requested a wellness check 3 times. The first 2 times they went with the sheriff to the house, no one was there. But the 3rd time, Tyler, he was home. They asked him where Nikki was and he told them that he didn't know. But he did hear that her Chevy Avalanche truck broke down 40 miles away on Bowman Road, close to a bridge. Chloe and Kay, they offered Tyler a ride there so they could pick up Nikki's truck. But Tyler declined and said that he already had plans to pick it up with one of his friends. Chloe and Kay decided to go there and look for Nikki's truck, but they couldn't find the truck or Nikki. So they went back to Tyler's house where they spoke to Justin, who was living in the trailer next to the house. And he said the last time he saw Nikki was on the 17th. That was the day she drove Jeanette to the hospital. Tyler had told him to pick up Nikki from his mother's house and drive her back home, and that was the last time he saw Nikki. And then he said that he did see Tyler driving around in Nikki's truck. Missing person flyers was shared everywhere and a huge billboard was put up on a very busy road. Search teams came together trying to find Nikki and her Chevy Avalanche because her truck disappeared as well. On May 25th, Nikki's truck was found by a civilian and the police was called. The officer said that when he approached the truck, there was a very strong smell of decay. And inside the truck, it was like a horror scene. There were smears of the red everywhere inside the truck bed. There was a white sheet covered in the red, and 3 corners on the sheet had been tied in knots. Inside the sheet, they found hair, and on top of the sheet there was an oven spray. After analyzing the red and the hair, it was confirmed that it came from Nikki. Family, friends, and volunteers made plans of searches in several different locations, and that's when strange things started to happen. I don't know the exact date, but there was a fire on Tyler's cousin's property, and right after, on July 4th, 2024, there was a huge wildfire on Tyler and Nikki's property.
We now know who caused the fire on Olinda Drive in Anderson that saw nearby homes evacuated and hundreds of acres burned. The North States News' Max Tedford is live out at the property where it started. Max, what did you learn today?
Well, Glenn, we now know that the fire was started here by a car left running at this property on Olinda Road. And we now have confirmed that both the car that caused the fire and this property are owned by Tyler McCain, husband of the missing Nikki McCain. McCain approached me today while I was filming the damage left behind by the fire, sharing he was cited for it. He told me he just bought a car to fix up and had left it running for a few minutes while he went to get something inside. When he returned, he says the fire was ignited. He did allow me on the property to film the damage. I spoke with a neighbor of his named Charles, who asked us not to show his face, but shared while his home was safe, many of his neighbors were threatened by the fire.
Everybody's fired up. We know we want immediate justice. We know we want the other case to be solved. There's aggressions behind it, but there is due process. There is things that we have to wait on.
I asked CAL FIRE representatives why this fire resulted in a citation, whereas a fire like the hidden fire ended up with an arrest. They share they have to have enough evidence to prove a level of criminal negligence necessary for an arrest, something they say was not present in this case. While no homes were damaged overall while no homes were seriously damaged in this fire, several outlying buildings, including one family's back house, was totally destroyed. We'll keep you guys updated as we learn more around the impact of this fire. Live in Happy Valley, I'm Max Tedford for the North States News.
Tyler's family and friends were interviewed by the police, and in Tyler's mother's house, they found a white comforter that had been burned in the corner of her garage. And on the ground in her garage, they also found a circular mark with ashes around it. The officers, they looked up and they noticed that there was soot in the ceiling. So it was pretty clear that a barrel had been standing there and something had been burned inside the barrel. But still, there was no criminal charges. But on March 14th, 2025, law enforcement raided Tyler and Nikki's house, where they were searching, testing, and collecting evidence.
No official results, but I do know when I drove by the first time an arrest was being made. It looks like the trailer door is open in the trailer that Justin Karen has been staying at. I do not see Tyler or the truck he has been driving or even the Acura he's been driving. But I do see, still on scene, at least 5 undercover vehicles. Looks like a CSI van. 6 undercover vehicles. They are definitely in the house. They are definitely, or were at least, in the trailer. So let's see what comes of it. But they are making an arrest right now. It is not Tyler McCain or Justin Karen.
On April 1st, 2025, Tyler was pulled over by the police. He had problems staying in one lane and he was throwing items out the window. When they patted down Tyler, they found his wallet in his back pocket. And inside the wallet, they found Nikki's driver's license that had a lot of burn marks on it. On August 20th, Tyler was finally arrested and charged with the unaliving of his wife Nikki. The same day Tyler was arrested, investigators they went back to his house with pry bars, hammers, and a gas-powered cement cutter. They went into Tyler's garage and we don't know what they found, but we do see a lot of brown evidence bags. Does that mean that they believe that Nikki, she never left the house? On July 5th, there was a hearing in the courthouse. The domestic violence charges against Tyler was dismissed because Tyler, he has a right to face his accuser, and with Nikki being missing, that wasn't possible, so all charges were dropped, but they could be filed again later. Outside the courthouse, Kay and Chloe had arranged a Justice for Nikki rally, and everyone was shouting at Tyler, "Where is Nikki? What did you do to her?" And as he walked by Nikki's family, he gave them the middle finger. When he got to his car, his mother appeared, and her language and her attitude was cold and hardcore. Tyler even used the F word on his mother. She really reminds me of Tiffany Adams from God's Misfits. Do you remember her? She unalived her daughter-in-law and her friend because of custody and legal issues as well.
Where's Nikki, Tyler?
Where's Nikki?
What happened to Nikki? What'd you do with her? Where's she at, Tyler?
Yeah, your buddy Too Tall's giving you up. What do you think about that?
Where's Nikki, Tyler? Where is she? That's your kids' mom. What'd you do with her? Where is Nikki, Tyler? Where's Nikki, Tyler? Where is Nikki? You won't get away with this.
You're too much of a coward.
Justice will come. Where's Nikki, Tyler? Where is she? What'd you do with her? Where's Nikki? Where is she, Tyler? Where's Nikki? No justice, no peace, if Tyler's on the street. No justice, no peace, if Tyler's on the street. No justice, no peace, while Tyler's on the street. No justice, no peace, when Tyler's on the streets. No justice, no peace, when Tyler's on the streets. No justice, no peace, when Tyler's on the streets. Where's she at, Tyler? Where's Nikki?
I fucking know.
I'm on public property.
Who's her mother-in-law?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
What'd you guys do with her?
Oh my God, you guys are fucking stupid.
Please. Yeah, we're stupid, but where's Nikki?
In the fucking car, please.
That's your kid's mom, Tyler. Where's Nikki?
It also came out that when they brought in Nikki's truck, they found DNA on the sheet from 5 different people. It was from Nikki, Tyler, Tyler's cousin Larry, Justin, and a guy named Louis. Louis is a guy who worked in a mobile shop, and he explained that Nikki came into the shop and first they became friends, but in time they started an affair that he claims went on for 1 year. They had X on that sheet the day before she went missing, so that's why his DNA was on the sheet. He claims that she took the sheet with her when she left his room, and she was probably gonna wash it when she came home. Before I start sharing my thoughts and theories on this case, I want to say that everything I say is alleged because I don't have any proof. I don't have any evidence. I just go by everything that I've heard and everything that I've read. So don't forget that Tyler McCain is still innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. My first thought on this case is that several people are involved. Not only in the cleanup and destroying evidence, but in the planning as well. I believe Tyler used every trick in the book to get Nikki to drop the charges, and when she kept refusing, the planning started to get rid of Nikki for good. I also believe the Chevy Avalanche was a part of his plan because he bought it just a few weeks before he allegedly unalived her. But he never registered the Chevy to his or Nikki's name, and I believe that was a part of the plan, or it became part of the plan. He could drive Nikki to the middle of nowhere and unalive her inside the Chevy, or he could use it to drive somewhere to hide her remains, and then afterwards he could get rid of the Chevy because there would be nothing linking him or Nikki to the truck because it was still registered to the previous owners. I also believe that Tyler committed this crime while he was high on substances and he completely snapped. He went to the Chevy's location several times. People say he was talking to himself, and he even sent Nikki a text that read, "I love you and I'm sorry for everything." Then he also went into rehab. He knows that he made the worst and the most evil decision in his life. He unalived his wife and the mother of their 4 children. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits a breaking point and he confesses. When the Chevy was located, it was full of evidence. There was a big flashlight found on the floor on the passenger side, and we don't know if they found any DNA on it or any of the red. In the truck bed, there were smears of the red everywhere, and there was a strong odor of decay. They also found a white sheet where 3 of the corners had a knot tied. The white sheet was covered in the red, and there was hair found as well. On top of the sheet, they found an oven spray. Everything they found inside the truck bed was analyzed, and the red smears all over the truck bed, the red found inside the sheet, and the hair, it was confirmed that it came from Nikki. The oven spray was tested as well, and on top of the spray pump, they found Tyler's DNA. When the sheet was tested for DNA, they found DNA from 5 different people. On the sheet itself, they found DNA from Nikki and semen that belonged to a man named Louis. I'm gonna get back to you and explain who Louis is. On the tied knots on the sheet, they found DNA from Tyler, Tyler's cousin Larry, and Justin. And that is one thing in this case that I can't explain. My friend said that those 3 men probably carried Nikki in the sheet, and that's why their DNA is on the knots. But to me, it doesn't add up. Nikki was so small and petite, why would it take 3 grown men to carry her and potential make the knots so they didn't lose the grip on the sheet? Do you have any theories about that? Because it doesn't make sense to me. Let's get back to Louis. Louis is a man who worked in a mobile shop, and according to him, Nikki came in there and they became friends. But after a while, they started having an affair, and Louis claims that the affair went on for about a year. His semen is on that sheet because him and Nikki had eggs on his couch the day before she disappeared. I don't know if I'm buying that explanation, because Tyler was very obsessive, jealous, and he had some serious anger issues. Investigators, they found pictures of Louis's house on Tyler's mobile phone, and you could see that Nikki's Chevy was parked outside the house. Why didn't Tyler confront the man that allegedly had an affair with his wife? He didn't call him, he didn't text him, and he didn't attack him. And I would also like to know if those pictures of Louis's house that was found on Tyler's phone, were those pictures sent to him, or were those pictures taken on Tyler's phone? Could those pictures have been part of the plan and it was staged? Because you see Nikki's car parked outside Louis's house, but you don't see Nikki coming or going. So how do we know that Nikki was the one inside the house? It could have been Justin, Tyler, or Larry. There is not one single picture that proves that it was Nikki inside that house. I don't understand why DNA from 4 different men was found in the sheet. I hope and pray that it doesn't involve any SA. Moving on to Tyler's mother, Jeanette. She was interviewed by investigators and was caught lying several times. She claims that she drank a lot of vodka at the time, so her memory is really bad leading up to Nikki's disappearance. When they searched her house, they found several items belonging to Nikki, including a letter that Nikki wrote to Tyler where she tells him she wants them to go separate ways. Inside Jeanette's garage, they found a partially burned white comforter. It was lying in the corner on the floor. And they also found a circular mark on the floor with ashes around it. And let's not forget that there was soot on the ceiling. Where is that metal barrel? And what was burned inside? And why was the white comforter taken out? Wasn't there any room left inside? What did they burn inside that barrel? It makes you wonder that if the investigators found that metal barrel, are they gonna find a crime scene inside and some DNA? Jeanette is very hardcore and tough. There is no way I believe that she would show weakness or be that emotional and hysterical when she asked Nikki to drive her to the hospital. I believe she was part of the planning and the cleanup to keep Tyler out of jail. Parents are gonna do anything to protect their children. She might have called Nikki because she wanted to give it a shot to make Nikki drop the charges, but she couldn't make her do it either. I have so many questions in this case, like Tyler claimed that he accidentally put diesel on the Chevy and it broke down on Bowman Road because it was gas powered. Then how did the truck get to Bowman Road? It's 40 miles from their house. Tyler went back to the truck with a gas can, but he didn't break any tools to take out the diesel that he put in there by accident. Did he try to burn the Chevy because it did have burn marks on the left side? Or did he take the gas out of the Chevy at their house to make sure that Nikki couldn't escape in her truck this time, and then after the unaliving, it was removed from the property? Tyler claims that Nikki took off after the fight. How is that even possible when her Chevy stayed at the house? And another thing that's so strange to me is that Justin asked Tyler if the Chevy and whatever was inside the Chevy needed to disappear, and Tyler said yes. Why would Justin think that Nikki's truck needed to disappear? That's a very odd question, unless he already knew what happened to Nikki. and wanted to help Tyler cover up everything. I could just go on. I have so many questions. But before I end this video, I want to say that if you're watching this and you know where Nikki is, please do the right thing and come forward. Nikki deserves to be put to rest by her family. She deserves to rest in peace. My heart and my prayers goes out to Nikki's 4 beautiful children and Nikki's family and friends. I pray for justice to be served. So that's it for today's video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know in the comment section down below what you think. And until the next one, take care and stay safe. Bye.